Hey everyone, David C. Anderson here coming at you from the Knife Center, and it's that time of the week again. We get to take a look at the coolest new knives that have just hit our shelves. Let's check them out. All right, we're going to jump right into the blades today with a few new KnifeCenter exclusives, and the first is a pair from Southern Grind. This is their Spider Monkey model. We got two versions, as you can see. Stonewash blade coming in about $325 and a black PVD coated blade coming in about $350. Other than that, they're, well, I guess just about the same. I'll get to that. As you can see, handle material here. We've got orange and black, and it's a carbon fiber layers interspersed with those orange layers. Orange G10, in fact. Now, depending on which blade option you choose, as you can see, the hardware matches. We've got satin liners and backspacers on the stonewashed version, and also that clip is the same, and then black hardware and black clip on the black version. But as I turn these over, you're going to see, I think even more than anything else, the real exciting part about these blades. Check out the steel, S45 VN on these bad boys. Really nice. It's good to see this on more and more production knives, but there's still not a ton out there just yet. So this is a good way to get your hands on some right now. Made in the USA, obviously. This whole knife is just like that steel as well. As to which version, I don't know. I'm very partial to a stonewashed finish, but even I have to admit the black probably looks a little bit better. So I'll hold that one up for the rest of the video here. 3 1/4 inches of blade drop point. I've always really liked the shape overall on that blade. It's just right. It's got some great versatility built in. It's not too broad, not too narrow, enough belly for EDC without being too much. I dig it very much. Handles, you've got a bit of contour, as is pretty obvious because of the topography of the layered handle material there. In the standard grip here, using the index finger with my slightly larger than average hands, I'm kind of a 3.5 finger grip, but it actually feels really good. If I choke up in front of that, I can get a really solid 4-finger hold on that. Or as I said in a video last week, all 4 of my hands are on there just fine. But it feels really good. It's a really good size for EDC. And it's kind of a hybrid between a thin, narrow EDC and a heavier duty knife, both in the feel in the hand and the construction, and in the blade stock as well. It's not super thin, it's not super thick. It's, again, a good balance with that high flat grind of strength and some cutting capability, decent slicing, really good slicing actually, I would say, as well. Got a liner lock, as you can see, no flipper because this is a thumb stud knife, and additionally, one of the fewer high-end knives out there that comes with bronze washers anymore. A lot of folks have switched to bearings for the action, but a lot of folks are being left in the cold who like something like like the washers on here for kind of the durability and the cleanliness, the easier usage in real hard work, heavy-duty, gritty, dusty environments, that sort of thing. It does take a little bit more effort to flick it out, but it works just fine. And you get the stability from those washers as well. One thing to note, if you like these, wouldn't wait too long on them. We've got our batch in, but we're probably not going to keep this one going. Not 100% sure, but it's looking like that's going to be the case with this particular one. So if you are interested in either of these exclusives, I wouldn't hesitate too much. Now, if you prefer ball bearings in your KnifeCenter exclusives, I got another one here for you. Our Shirogorov Neon coming in about $550 right now. Our first batch of these actually came and went super quick, so I didn't even have have the chance to feature it in one of these new knives videos. But our second batch is now in, and I'm really impressed. I'm always impressed with Shirogorov. They're just phenomenally executed knives. And this is one of their kind of most EDC friendly patterns as opposed to some of the bigger knives that they're more known for, perhaps. Again, kind of the same size as that Southern Grind anyway, about 3 1/4 inches of blade, a nice blend between some slightly heavier duty uses and the slicey characteristics, because we don't have super thin blade stock, but we've got that full flat grind, and something that Shiro does exceptionally well, very consistently. Every time I've pulled one out is a super, super thin edge. So there's not a lot of resistance right there behind the cutting edge. It's just ready to rock. And we've got LMAX steel on board for this one as well for some really nice edge retention. The handle inlays are our KnifeCenter exclusive black and orange Coral G10, which has a really cool pattern. Looks good on the front and on the small strip on the back as well. Titanium frame lock flipper, of course, as these models tend to be. We've got our over travel arrestor on the inside, so it's nice and clean. You don't see anything kind of extra poking out there. And that actually goes for the screws as well. We've just got those 2 points there, nice and clean, like I said. And a simple flathead screwdriver will work on these as opposed to a Torx. So it's got a little bit of a different look there, a little less of a commodity and a little more special because it's not just another Torx bit head right there. Flipping action, of course, excellent, as you'd expect. Ball bearings, like I mentioned. It's a flat knife overall. It's not a contoured knife, but it's a very comfortable feeling knife. The edges themselves are executed very nicely. No sharp spots there whatsoever. You got a nice cutout here where your flipper finger lands, so it's nice and comfy there as well. Chamfers just where you need it, and it just feels really good. Just all 4 fingers on my hand just barely fit there behind the flipper tab. Just another great EDC option and a really premium feeling knife. Those are too small for you though. We're gonna go from kind of the smaller and refined knives to a bruiser with the new Jake Hoback Husky coming in at $575 right now. Since we're on the high-end knives so far, we'll keep the high-end stuff going here at the front. We'll have some slightly more affordable stuff there at the end for you folks. But until we get there, this guy's a beast, as you can see. And for the handle, we've got green micarta on the front, titanium frame lock on the back, and just check out how beast that thing is. It's about a full 3/4 of an inch thick, in fact. Definitely fills the hand. It's not necessarily an ergonomic handle since it's still overall flat, but you've got a ton of purchase there thanks to the texture and the length. As you can see, I got plenty of room there. Even if I was wearing a heavier pair of work gloves, I would have enough room there. And in fact, the broad jimping they've got here at the thumb spot and here near where the pinky would rest would actually even be better if you were wearing gloves because it's big and aggressive. You have a really kind of giant sized and giant strength grip on this knife. Blade itself, 3 3/4 of an inch here. Nice thick blade in this case. They definitely leaned into the heavy duty there as well. Nitro V stainless steel on this guy as well, which is cool to see. I'm a big fan of that steel. Tanto shape, as you can see. Got compound grinds, as you can see, but they're both flat in this case, but you do have that definitive kind of transition there towards the tip. Decently thin edge on this one as well, even though it's a big chunky blade stock as well. So that should help a little bit. Make sure you can power through some stuff pretty well. Now you can certainly flip this knife open, and it does have Hoback's signature roller detent and pivot thrust bearings that make sure that flies open just quite nicely. But you can also use the, I guess technically it's not a fuller, but there's a kind of a milled out shape on each side of that blade, and that's gonna work for thumb opening as well. And you don't even need to pinch that open, it works pretty nicely. You just simply use the end of it here as you start, and as you move up, you can kind of slide your thumb up towards the heel side of the blade, and that becomes a secondary opening method right there. But definitely heavy duty uses are in mind for this knife. Ought to really be able to thrash on it, especially with a solid grip going on. If you need a big knife, big chunky knife like this for tactical uses, you can definitely check this guy out as well. And now we're gonna go, again, completely opposite. Again, since we're talking about some of the more premium stuff, let's talk about a few of the customs we've got in-house right now. And I'll start with a couple of Brad Zinkers. Definitely different from the Hoback we just looked at. This is a custom Persian from him, coming in about $695. Even though you may not be used to seeing kind of a trailing point blade on a Brad Zinker design, it's definitely very Zinkerish in its execution, even without looking at kind of that signature shaped pocket clip deep carry that he's got on there as well. But it just has that nice executive styling that's, you know, kind of always been baked in to his signature look. blade steel here, CPM 154, and it's got sort of a hybrid finish going on. Technically it's stonewash, but I feel like I can detect just a hint of vertical grain. I may be imagining that because I've been wiping it with my fingers here. We'll make sure to clean this off before we put it away. But really finely executed, crown spine going on here, very comfortable. Handle is quite nice, double red canvas micarta here with some contouring there as well. Certainly feels excellent in the hand, has a nice grip. It's a full handle length without being hand filling, obviously with a narrow thing like that, but great for smaller utility work in general. Fantastic letter opener or just more elegant EDC. Got a liner lock going on, ball bearings in the pivot, and a front flipper that I'm actually pretty decent at doing. Actually feels very comfortable, very smooth, very satisfying overall. And that's just one of the things you get with a custom knife that can really leapfrog some of the production stuff out there, even some of the really good stuff. Just that hand-tuned, silky feel going on here is very nice. For the same price and with the same steel, we've got a custom Miscreant from Brad Zinker as well. Obviously, We Knife Company came out with a Brad Zinker Miscreant, I guess it was last year, I think. It might have been 2 years ago even at this point. But we've got one of the custom versions in here right now with that very nice tanto shape going on. And for a knife that is so kind of squared off, there's actually, it doesn't feel simple, definitely not. You've got plenty of holes here, very signature element on a lot of Zinker's designs, and just the proportions of the blade are quite nice. There's just a hint of hump here, so it's not perfectly a straight line. That gives just a little bit for your eye to go to, crowned there as well. Definitely a heavier stonewashed finish going on here with that full flat grind, as opposed to the hollow grind on that Persian we just looked at. But very nice feeling. Another knife, actually both of these are going to carry very easily in the pocket due to how narrow they are. But if you like narrow and flat, that Miscreant especially is just going to melt away into your pocket and stay right out of the way. But you've still got a full-size cutting experience when you need it, because this is about a 3.5-inch blade. Titanium, frame lock flipper, flips really nicely. Nice deep carry pocket clip there, right side only, because you got the milled out section there, so you don't have room for the clip holes. But just another beautiful creation from Brad. All right, we've got one more custom, and if you're into some of the more traditional knives out there, Tim Britton is definitely a guy you should check out if you're a fan of old school slip joints. We've got a decent selection of his stuff that we just got in, of some of his really nice slip joints. This one is a custom easy open, as you can see, coming in at $315 right now. Now I'd go almost as far as to say this is kind of an easy open Barlow shape, but maybe the bolster should be a little bit broader if this were a true Barlow. But in any case, it's kind of the same thing. Blade length 2.3 inches here. BG42 steel going on here, which is actually Chris Reeve used to use this stuff on the Sebenzas before they partnered with or helped out with the development of S30V with Crucible. But it's still a great steel. In fact, some people actually prefer that steel in the Chris Reeve circles, Chris Reeve collector circles. They like that a little bit better than the S30V. In terms of outright performance, I couldn't tell you exactly how it stacks up, but really, really nicely executed here. Horizontal grind going on, really thin, really precise, full flat grind. Single swedge here at the tip and that long pull, which you could open this either with that long pull very easily, or you could pinch out there in the easy open. Either way is going to work quite nicely, and it just looks beautiful with that mother of pearl handle going on here. With a little bit of a liner going on. It looks almost, it's a little red. I think it might be vulcanized paper. We don't have that information on our site, but it looks really good in any case. No half stop on this knife, but it has just about the smoothest closing action I think I have ever felt on a slip joint. Just, so perfect there. And of course, mates up perfectly there on the open position as well. Very nice, and check out the other Tim Brittons we've got in right now as well at the link in the description. All right, again, we're going to kind of jump to the opposite end of some spectrums again. Not size-wise this time, but you probably can't get any further away from a traditional slip joint than an OTF automatic. And we've got a good-sized batch of new Microtechs in. This is one of the UTX 70s in the Signature series, coming in about $322 right now. I should say that this knife, this knife actually, once these are gone, I don't think we're getting any more of these. The next knife we should be getting more, but we don't have a ton on hand on the day we're filming this. So if either of these are out of stock or any of these customs are out of stock by the time this video posts, I do apologize for that, but they're fun to share anyway. But as you can see on the Signature Series UTX 70, we've got a Jade G10 front cover rather than just the typical full aluminum that you would see on a knife like this. And as such, you can actually see through a little bit to the internal mechanisms of this double action automatic. Blade here, 2.4 inches, and this is 204P stainless right now. But we'll see if we can get a good shot through the translucent bit there. You can't really see the blade itself, but you can see kind of the switch mechanism as it goes back and forth. Pretty darn cool, in fact. You don't often get to see the inner workings of an OTF without taking it apart, and then it's not really working anyway. Pocket clip on the back. It is reversible. It's not quite deep carry like some of their knives, but it reverses, flips over the back on the end of that glass breaker there on the end. Now, even though this is very opposite from the last couple knives we've looked at, still nice, easy, slim carry overall. All right, next one up is one I like, I think, even better, because I'm a bit of a Star Wars nerd myself. The new Bounty Hunter versions of the Exocet. We've got another batch in right now, and it's got that kind of battle-worn Bounty Hunter look going on. But you've got some great contrasting colors here going on with the yellow, the teal, and sort of the orangish burgundy there. Works really well together, and I love that broken in, worn, kind of beat up finish. But it's still rock solid. It's still the great Exocet that we know and love. About a 2-inch blade, so this is a California compliant design. Great OTF action. Nice feel in the hand actually on these Exocets. That's one of the things I really like, even though it is a shorter blade, because of the width there, because they went for sort of a money clip style of design. You've got a lot to hold on to there. Fits great in that 5th jean pocket. We just did a video on that style of carry recently. And it's just very nice. Initially, I was thinking the double edge variant might look better on this knife, but I'm really growing to love the Tanto on this color configuration specifically. It has a little bit more of a I don't know, aggressive style of look that I think works really well. But yeah, check these out. We should be getting more of these if they are sold out by the time this video is up, however, because you guys are absolutely gobbling these up. I think it's pretty easy to see why. And actually, I think, I don't know if I mentioned the price, but I think part of the reason these have been so popular is the price. These come in about $309 right now, which compared to the last Bounty Hunter knife that came out, which was the Combat Troodon, that was a bit over $700. Definitely a lot easier to get your hands on with this guy right here. Finally, one more Microtech. We've got a new version of the TAC-P, a new blackened version, it's a black DLC, and this comes in about $96. So a little bit of a premium over the standard stone-washed version. This is just an EDC spike, essentially. You've got kind of a frag grenade style of pattern here to give you a little bit of grip, but works as an ice pick, that sort of thing. And there's even a rudimentary edge here at the back, so you could certainly open boxes, kind of a little bit like a Savage, but definitely better than using your keys, that's for sure. And then of course you've got the glass breaker there on the end, and a nice Kydex sheath that happens to look like carbon fiber with an ulti clip there, so that you can carry it very easily in your pocket, access it when you need to, and then stick it back in there when you're done. We've got a new Enrique Pena item this week, and it's actually a pen, not a knife. These are, I believe, yeah, just like the knives, these are made by Riot as well, and they come in about $145 right now for this X Series bolt action. Number of different finishes actually, and let's see, what are the prices on these? Let me see what the range is for you guys. Titanium versions start at about $99. And they go up from there. This particular one comes in at $145 because in addition to titanium, This one has the bronze finish, so it's got a nice rustic look, but we've also got a Mokutai pocket clip as well. So that's going to bump the price up a little bit, but it is a really cool accent to kind of pump things up a little bit as well. The bolt action itself works really well. I can tell you I've really been gravitating towards bolt action pens a lot lately, because what I like about it is you can carry it in your pocket and you have the quick access of a clicky pen, but you're not going to accidentally click that button and get ink all over the inside of your pocket as well. So I dig that very much. This is a Schmidt EasyFlow 9000 cartridge, which they write pretty well, but of course that's a Parker-sized cartridge, so there's a ton of aftermarket stuff out there if you want to customize it that way. But really solid feeling, should be a really nice writing experience. All right, next up, we've got the Lucha Trainer from Kershaw coming in 115 right now. Still made in the USA, still made the exact same way as the live blade version, except with no live blade in this case, as you can see, but skeletonized out to keep the weight distribution the same, so you can transfer anything you learn from this over pretty much one for one onto the sharp one. Interestingly, actually, to me anyway, they actually kept the 14C28N for the quote-unquote blade steel on this, even though they could have gone with something maybe a little cheaper, because honestly, what difference does it make? It's not like they made this in a way where you could really grind an edge into this if you wanted to anyway. But for those of you where that matters, it is still there as well. Stainless steel handles, skeletonized out a little bit as well, and KVT bearings in both of the pivots there for a really smooth action. And really that's I think the key to the success of the standard Lucha model overall, which is one of our actually I think our best-selling new knife of 2020, is at this price range, it really sets a new standard for what's capable and what's achievable on a butterfly knife. And now you've got the cool trainer as well. So definitely worth checking out if you're trying to get into the hobby. Maybe you tried out a real cheap one and it is for you. You've decided you want to continue it, but you need something a little better. Definitely worth taking a look at this guy. All right, next up we've got a new Spyderco, a new salt knife. This is the Atlantic Salt in one of my new favorite colors on a knife anywhere these days, this bright green coloration, which looks cool just because I like it, but it's also good for the mission of this knife being used around water, in that everything on this should be pretty darn near corrosion proof. The further down underwater you get, you're still going to be able to see this a little better than some of the other colors out there. But compared to previous versions of the Atlantic Salt, we've got a bump up in blade steel here. This is LC200N. I'm a big fan of this stuff. It's very nice. It's got a real high degree of edge stability, a lot more edge retention than the H1 versions of the previous versions of this knife at the same time as well. Sheep's foot style, full flat grind, going to be great for use around the water since you don't have that tip to worry about. You'll be able to get under things a little bit better without worrying about puncturing them so much. But just great utility knife too. Would make a great box cutter overall, whether choked up here for a little bit better work on that choil, or just in a nice big chunky gorilla grip as well. Mid-mounted lockback, easy opening with that thumb hole. A little bit different case than the Pacific Salts in that the handles are essentially modeled after the Enduras. This guy kind of has its own set of handles going on. No liners, so you don't have to worry about anything there. And again, all the components inside of this are designed to be nearly as corrosion proof as possible these days. And I used to say LC200N was essentially corrosion proof. I don't say that anymore because of my buddy Joe Flowers had an LC200N Spyderco, and he actually, anyone who knows Joe knows he likes to go out and just get dirty and just go for it. And he lost that knife in a pond, in a stream. Didn't find it until months later, and it had a slight discoloration to the blade. That's it though. So not rust proof, but not in any amount less that's going to make a difference. It's really fantastic stuff overall. A lot of grip from this handle as well. It's got kind of their old school, I think you called it volcano texturing as opposed to the newer bidirectional FRN. shackle key built in to the handle there, reversible pocket clip. But just a really cool knife overall, and a really cool steel. I'm definitely big fans of this stuff, even if it's not 100% rust proof.
Well, just because it's not Joe Flowers proof doesn't mean it's not rust proof.
Well, okay, fine. Joe Flowers, everybody. Round of applause for that guy. As we get to the next knife, which is an update of a very popular lockback. This is the Casstrom Lars Falt Slipjoint. Same profile essentially, but now with that slipjoint mechanism rather than the lockback. This guy comes in about $140 right now, and this is a Swedish-made knife as well. Lars Falt, of course, very well known for his work in Sweden with special forces and survival, and of course bushcraft circles as well. The fixed blade and folder designs he has are definitely very influenced by the Ray Mears school of bushcraft. As you can see in the handle shape here, curly birch handles on these guys as well, which is quite nice in terms of the traditional aspect. It was a very common knife handle material in Scandinavia going back eons. So it's cool to see that still on some modern made folders. This is also, as you can see, a Scandi grind. So really great for the folks who look for a Scandi ground folder. There's not a ton out there. And a Scandi ground slip joint as well, which is even rarer in fact. About a 3-inch blade, N690 stainless steel. So you've got a decent bit of toughness there, especially at the edge. It should work really well with that Scandi as well. It's a slightly smaller feel in the hand. I can just get all 4 of my fingers on it if I choke up a little bit. It's not quite as comfortable in the same way as that Southern grind was way back in the beginning of this video, but it still feels decently comfortable. It's not the most comfortable thing in the world for my hand size. If you're going to be doing hours of whittling, I'd probably go with, one of the fixed blades there, but really nice. I like the brass pins there. They're peened really nicely. There's even a bit of leather thong in the package as well. You can make a little lanyard fob with, or any kind of lanyard really, if you would like. As far as the spine, if you're looking to use this for some bushcraft, it feels, I don't know, almost crisp enough, like you might be able to strike a fire steel with it, but a little bit of time with a stone might really flatten that out. You can get a good crisp spark off of there if you need to. Nice half stop, as you can see, which is good because there's a decent bit of spring tension on this particular knife. So it's good to have that half stop there, especially if your fingers are still here. You got that safety measure, snaps closed quite nicely. And if you were going to use this to strike a fire steel, I would definitely do it in the closed position. But it feels really good. You've got kind of that Ray Mears woodlore type of blade shape going on in a slip joint, and that's just really cool. We've also got a couple of books from Lars Falt as well. Both of these guys coming in $33. We've got Using a Knife and Using an Axe the Scandinavian Way. I haven't taken a look through either of these yet because we do have them sealed up and I didn't want to open it. But there should be a lot of good stuff in here. Knowing just everything Lars Falt has done over the years and his level of expertise, definitely check these guys out. But if you're not the reading type, they're not super thick, so don't be too intimidated. Check those guys out. Which brings us to one final knife. The knife itself is not technically new, but now in one package you can get the Fallkniven A1 with a nice leather sheath as opposed to the hard plastic, or I guess they were Kraton sheath. They weren't Kraton sheaths, I don't think. Got Kraton handles here. But instead of the plasticky sheath, you can get a nice high quality leather sheath here. And this package comes in at $250 right now. But definitely robust. You can see how thick that is there on the side. Double rows of stitching, rivets, and some grommets there at the bottom. Nice dangler there, and that is kind of your only carry option here. There's not a lower belt loop. You couldn't just like fold this back like some of the JRE sheaths out there. But it does come with that nice dangler. If you're wearing a longer winter coat, that'll keep it accessible a little bit better. But it fits in there quite nicely, as you can see, and you got that snap retention loop as well. So more of a traditional feel than the Kraton, but obviously with a snap like that, those I keep calling it Kraton. Those hard plastic sheaths do have some positive retention, so it's going to be a bit of a different carry style. But in the sheath, you've still got this awesome, awesome knife. If you're not familiar with Fallkniven stuff, this is kind of one of their Mac daddies. Blade thickness is nearly a 1/4 inch thick. Definitely gone for the robustness here, combined with a convex grind with the geometry coming right down to 0. There's no secondary edge here, which is going to be real easy to maintain with something like a strop, especially in the wild. And you've got that VG10 steel, laminated VG10 steel here as well. So you've got some tougher steel on the outer layers to kind of give you the best of both worlds on a big knife like this. 6.3 inches, full tang protruding there at the back, but the Kraton, it's the actual Kraton this time, is wrapped over the spine of that knife so you don't have to touch the bare metal. Really good in cold environments if you have to take your gloves off to get some finer manipulation. At least you're not grasping the frigid steel there at the same time. So that's it right now with the leather sheath. Oh, I almost forgot. Got one more fixed blade to show you this week as well. This is the RMJ Jackdaw, coming in at $200 right now. American-made EDC pocket cleaver, essentially, but it's a fixed blade, not one of these folders. Jackdaw is kind of a nice nod to the name here, because the handle here is the same as the RMJ Sparrow, which both of these are names of birds. So that's pretty nice. National Geographic corner here with David C. Anderson this week. But it's a really cool little EDC piece. It's kind of a 3.5 finger grip for me, but it feels fairly secure. There's a lot of, I guess you could call it fluting or machining on the G10 for some grip, and you got that finger guard there. It's not a hand-filling grip here either, but it is fairly secure. Nitro V blade steel in this case, really cool stuff, nice and tough. And it's got a tungsten Cerakote going on, and it's about 3.25 inches long as well. Just a good little shape, flat grind going on, ready for some strong cuts for sure. It does come with a Kydex sheath, or at least Kydex style. Yeah, it looks like Kydex. And 2 straps here with pull-the-dot snaps on there, so you can do horizontal carry right out of the box. And then these snaps are only going to come undone in the one direction on the pull, so it's less likely to get snagged, as you're walking by. If something happens to catch that, it's probably not going anywhere. If that's not your style, though, these of course, or the holes here will fit a standard style tech lock, so you can carry it upside down or right side up and all that kind of stuff and in between, and just have this really cool piece with you wherever you go. All right, that's all we've got time for today. Make sure to let me know your favorites this week down in the comments, and let me know what you're looking forward to coming up in the next few weeks as well. Meantime, if you want to get your hands on any of these knives, as always, we'll leave links in the description. And while you're over there at the Knife Center, make sure you sign up for our Knife Rewards program, because if you're going to spend your hard-earned bucks on one of these knives, might as well earn some free bucks to spend on your next one. I'm David C. Anderson from the Knife Center, signing off. See you next time.